Well, it's time now to delve into some form on the undercard of the races. We've had the full first call show, so now it's time for Plus. And we are actually minus one of our panellists here today with Aidan Rodley over in Australia. Just you and I, Jace, but we'll do our best to take you through the form. Let's head to Matamata, the home of Hobbiton, Mark McNamara's household. Kirsty Cashmere Bailey's Real Estate Handicappers race number 1 with Smart Dragon. $3.60 for Mark Duplessis, $5 for Never Stop Dreaming, out to $7 for Light Shadow. Light Shadow bring back nightmares, Jason?
There are a few things and horses that bring back nightmares, but a head up, head down that didn't go Light Shadow's way wasn't ideal on the day, but that's what he does, the son of Holy Roman Emperor. He's often slow away, he charges late into a race, and more often than not he misses. He's placed 10 times from 39 and only won 3 of them. But yeah, I mean, I chuckled at Mark McNamara and your Hobbiton reference there, but I know that there's always a room for me, being not of dissimilar stature, so we should talk about the racing though, shouldn't we?
Yeah, well, he dishes enough out, so you might as well cop a wee bit too, and he's probably too busy to be watching anyway. Let's talk about a horse like Never Stop Dreaming. Jonathan Park's in very good form, punching home winners as per the norm, a $5 chance in the race. Never Stop Dreaming's won 2 of its last 4. What did you make of the last start effort?
It was an excellent run. Got back on the inside and charged late when clear, so it was a top performance. Again, I think there are a group of horses that are very similar in ability. The horse to me that stands out on ability is the mare that gets weight relief at the top courtesy of Kate Cowan in August edition. I think she presents as an outstanding each-way bet. Like, she comes out of some red-hot, staying races, and it's a big drop back and trip for her, but you know, when you're running behind Charles Road and Kaharo and that quality of race, you're coming back to a rating 75 mile, and she's run okay at Matamata and over 1,600 metres before. She's drawn well. I just think she's an over at more than $10. So I'm happy to have a little each way on her. I think she's a good each way spec to start the day. It'll need some aggression from Kate Cowan early to get her going. She's effective when she sits on speed. So if Kate can punch her out of the gates and take up a spot and keeps up her the whole way, then she's going to deliver a run for her. I think she rates clear on anything in the race on performance. So
you found a spot for Descendant as well?
A minor spot, yes, but pretty big on the 1. Okay,
let's turn over now to race number 5 on the card, the Dry Mix Cement Bay of Plenty Cup this is. And we've got $4.20 for Richie McHorse, $5.50 Love Lights. Richie McHorse drawn the inside, Jason, over 2,000 metres.
Yeah, I've got Brook Bars as a scratching, but obviously that hasn't quite come out of the market. So anyway, Karchi's at $6 and $2.10. Look, she's another horse that's dropping back in grade. I know that she munched our money when we put her out as a best bet at Te Rapa, and it was a nightmare. You speak of nightmares and all that sort of thing. Well, that was one. I'm prepared to butter up again as long as the track doesn't deteriorate too much.
So you're just waiting?
I want to see what presents, yes. And if the track presents no worse than slow, then I'm prepared to have an each-way bet on her. If it gets sort of to the heavy side of slow 9, heavy 10, then I'll be holding off. And it might be that if it gets really heavy connections, we'll think of pulling her out. But yeah, the stable have a good hand. Richie McHorse will also run a good race, and we'll have that tactical advantage over Karchi from the draw of sitting handier. And you can't knock what he's been doing the last 4 starts when he kicked it off at the Ruakaka and has been right there since.
If Karchi does start, Jason, where do you see the horse settling in the run?
Oh, she'd have to be in the back sort of quarter of the field. She'll be back near last. Not a big field. The tempo's probably only good at best, but she should be able to work into the race at the right time. And yeah, but she will be settling back.
Okay, well, speaking of moves, Jason, we head to the last race on the card at Matamata. It is the Triton Pacific Owens Plate, rating 75 this is, and Jet Wings into $10 already.
They've trimmed him now. He started at 13 and 4s, so there's obviously been some support for Jet Wings. Thad Taylor suggested there was good money, or said, he wasn't hinting, he just said that my haul is well backed. So $5.50 and $2.05. It's Destiny's Child has been in good form without an apostrophe. Indian Express I should say, is at 10 there. So ran a good race a couple of starts ago at Matamata behind Cote d'Or in what sort of amounted to a sprint home. So.
Okay, well tell me about the horse, the ex-Hong Kong galloper, and what it did over their jet wings and how it would compare to our grading.
Well, he's a Class 2 galloper in Hong Kong and a genuine Class 2 at that. So that's a low-level Group 3 horse to my eye. On comparison, if you can make Class 2 then over the sprint there, then you're certainly up to Group 3 level sprints here and maybe more. So he's a bleeder in Hong Kong. That's the main issue that he had. So that sort of curtailed his career somewhat. If he brings anywhere near that form, and he's going to be very hard to beat. He's in a rating 75 grade. He's a hold-up type of galloper, so he'll get back in the run, given what he showed in Hong Kong and how they've ridden him in a Topor trial. So they'll ride him to have that one run at them. If you were to compare him and Katea, for example, well, he's a class and a half better than Katea just on Hong Kong ratings alone. Now, it's not that simple because horses, you know, operate differently in different countries, and we know that horses can come to New Zealand and run well. Katea has done that, and Jet Wings is fresh up. So you're not quite sure on that score, but you're just on Hong Kong ratings. Boy, he presents well in this race.
Is it a bet for you?
Yes, he's an each-way bet, a sound each-way bet. 13 and 4 now into $10. Emphasis on the place because he is get back. He will need a few things to go his way. Question, will he handle sort of a slow to heavy track? His record sort of says yes. You wouldn't want it to get too bad, but I'm sure that Lance O'Sullivan and Andrew Scott wouldn't have him lining up if it got too bad and they didn't think he could handle it. But it is still a question mark.
Riccarton Park is on a dead 6 surface and the rail's out 7 metres. We're going to look at race 2. Cochrane's Farm Machinery rating 75 over 1,400 metres, and Zawip at $3.50. One of a couple in the race here for Bevan Wilson. He's also got final say, and he gets a half a kilo off Zawip. Down to She Knows at $8.50, who I suppose is the most interesting horse here, matching up the northern and the southern form. Jason, how does She Knows slot into race 2?
She slots in as being a good chance. I'd say a definite top 3 chance, She Knows. And look at Wairoa, where she often runs well. She put in a performance where her finish sort of belied the run. She only ran 5th, but it was a better run than that. Things didn't pan out for her against a decent horse in Sleep Secret and others. Look, you've got BB Hong on Nowhere Man and Chris Johnson and Zawip. I didn't think there was much between them in terms of ability. I really like what Nowhere Man has been doing, but how about Zawip? You talked about Zawip and how unlucky was it. It was a case of how unlucky she was. It was a case of, in the first 200 metres of her last start, being caught 3 wide, not being able to get in the small field and having to come back 2 lengths. And that was effectively the losing of the race early on, wasn't it?
It certainly was. And then at Wingatui, the start before that obviously got held up the straight, and every single gap that it tried to get into closed. Zakynthos is relatively short.
It's like downtown Auckland looking for a park.
Yes. Zakynthos is relatively short, I thought. $7.50. Versus the $10 around a horse like Admiral Roo. Are they not in different leagues, those horses? I know Zakynthos is racing consistently, but geez, hard horse to back to win.
I was just about to say, on a win line it's not easy, is it? Like you could certainly back him to place, but on a win line he's a very difficult horse to get overly warm. And
Raw Material, we've talked about Raw Material on the show time and time again, wanting a bit of clear air. With a run under its belt, it's nearly the outsider at 14.
Yeah, he's run well second up, Raw Material, but I was just so disappointed in that fresh up run. Like, he's got a lot to turn around. Can he turn around that much in just, you know, from one start to the next, and there only being, you know, 2 and a bit weeks between? I don't know. I'd want to see more before attacking him with any betting confidence.
Well, one horse that we potentially can attack with some confidence and a price which many may rate as an over is Humble Pie. He's $1.95 to take out race number 5 on the card at Riccarton Park. I know often some of us put together our own markets, Jason, and compare them to what the TAB bookmakers have put out. $1.95, is that in your terms an under or an over?
It's a shade of overs, so I've marked him $1.80, but it's very hard unless you're winks, you know, to get, when you're working to 100% compared to a bookmaker's market. It's hard, I find it hard to get runners much shorter than that, but yeah, he's a shade of overs. He presents as a horse that I would expect to win this race more often than not if he brings his best.
Okay, what does Rosie Myers do out of barrier number 6?
Oh, look, the general thing with him is I'm sure the instructions are ride him where you find him. You wouldn't be averse to being a little bit positive though. Like, it was ridden very cold at Tauhera Nico before the Derby, and it was 3 starts before the Derby, and he unleashed a really good sprint to roll over the top of them. So as long as he's not too far off them at the 600, if he does settle back and is right there between 2 lengths, maybe 3 lengths at the most from the leaders, then he still should have that sharpness to sprint past them. But you always get a little bit itchy in small fields if you're sort of ridden back, because sometimes that sectional can get away from you, and there's a horse that can just get a length, like say Ruby Rowe, if she was to settle in front, which she has done on occasions over distance like this. If she was to settle in front and dictate and get a really soft one, well, she's got a turn of foot that maybe if Humble Pie was 3 lengths off, he'd find it hard to run her down. But
We just stand them out,
yes.
multi them up.
Yep, and Rosie we trust.
Very good. We'll catch you next week.
And of course the trainers,
Yes, of
Adrian
course.
and Harry Bull, not decrying the efforts to get the horse to the race.
I think they know what they're doing.
Oh, 100%, my
Thanks
word.
for watching the First Call Plus here on tab.co.nz. The First Call live every Friday at 11 a.m. with replays Saturday morning. We'll catch you then.